Hiya, loves. Welcome back to the Gaily Digest. I am Nigel.
And I am Joshua.
Welcome back, Joshua. Have you had a nice couple of weeks since the last episode?
I'm not really enjoying this sun. It's a bit too hot.
Yeah, to be fair, it has been scorching, hasn't it? So yes, we are back this week. We are have another full fun-packed episode, don't we? So we've got our usual news, we've got in conversation, we've got the complaints closet, and that's pretty much it, I think, this week. So although we are looking to introduce a new little element or new segment to the episodes, aren't we? To try and inject a little bit more fun and hilarity into it. So without further ado, let's crack on with the show. And now for the news. What's our news this week, Josh?
As you've just told me this very 3 seconds ago, it is an LGBTQ plus charity founded in farmers' memory.
So this is the news. Now, it's bizarre, isn't it? Because this news is only kind of just recently broken, but it's about a charity that was set up in 2020, so 6 years ago. So essentially, this charity was set up because of a farmer from North Yorkshire, Mike Potter. He didn't come out until he was 72 because it is because, and the reason why he didn't come out until he was 72 was because, given that it was quite a rural farming community, it's very conservative. So there was very dim views on homosexuality, very sort of contrite views around it, and the charity that's been set up is called Out Together, which is basically to allow people from that community to come together and have a safe space. And I think this is
So like the older gays that
yeah,
come out late kind of
yeah.
thing.
So and this is the thing that we often we often talk about Pride being a safe place, or having gay bars as a safe place for people to meet, or gay venues as a safe
They're
place for
quite
people to meet.
exclusionary for the older gays, aren't they?
They
I'd say.
they are, I think, because, and I think this is one of the tropes from the gay community, because we do tend to, and I certainly recognize it from when I was a younger gay. You do kind of ostracize the older gays, and it's wrong
Yeah, they
because
presume they're
we're all,
creepy, don't they?
yeah,
That's the attitude.
but we are all part of the same community, and we should be there to support each other. And it goes back to that view that the gays that were there, or members of the LGBT community that were there before us, were the ones that fought for our rights, that lived through the persecution, the criminalization. And I think it's really wonderful that there's this charity called Out Together that was set up in 2020. Um, it was set up with funding left by Mike Potter, who's a North Yorkshire farmer who didn't come out till he was 72, as we've said. He died 4 years later, so he died when he was 76. Um, and Mike Potter had a close friend called Graham Clark, who said that the group, had the group existed during Potter's lifetime, he would have had a safe place to meet other people and to be himself, and perhaps to come out sooner.
Well, I hope you had a really, really gay last 4 years.
Yeah, I hope he did too. I hope he had a wonderful, wonderful last 4 years. Um, so the charity is set to make history this week when it becomes the first LGBTQ plus charity to host a stand at the Great Yorkshire Show in Harrogate. So that's quite a big thing, I think. I mean, like we said, it was the farming community is quite conservative.
Well,
So
say rural areas in general, because I'm from a very rural town. I've grown up in very countryside, rural areas, little tiny villages and things. And you do get a lot of homophobia. You do get a lot of eye rolls and stares. Like I've never held hands of any partners walking around, because I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it around the people that I see. But I do have some, like in the village I live in, I'd say it was more rural. I have some brilliant neighbours who know I'm gay and stuff, and they're lovely. But then you get the older ones who they just treat you differently as soon as you talk to them, and you know why, but they don't say it. They just instantly treat you differently. So that is quite a big problem in the rural. I think it's because it's like cities and things. There's everybody. There's a mixing pot of everybody, so everybody kind of sees everything. But in rural towns, it's just literally straight white people, basically.
Do you
And
think it's because they don't see what the cities see, or what we see in the cities, or the more sort of busier towns? So there's less of there's less of it. There's less gay people that are living
I
in the
think
rural
I
communities.
think what it is with rural communities is they have less exposure.
Yeah,
They don't have the exposure of different people. Like as I've said in the past, we had a black friend that came to visit, walking through the town, and everyone was staring at them because that's where I live. It's very rare to not see just white people
mm,
because that's just how it is in most of the little villages. And that's things that I've seen, and and if I ever wore something that wasn't like looking like a straight man,
like a dress, you mean?
well, no, I could pull off a dress, but still,
I could
if I
I could pull a
wore
dress off you as well.
but if I wore anything that was a bit flamboyant, even pink, people would probably look at you and think, "Oh, he's wearing pink." That's what it's like. That is genuinely what it is like in these little
Mm.
villages.
Pink to make the boys wink, eh?
Yeah, but in these villages, it's the same kind of people that say boys wear blue, girls wear pink, boys play with cars, girls play with dolls. They've never really left that backward thinking from like the 60s and 70s. They're stuck in it because they're quite an older generation.
Yeah.
But I think now a lot of younger people are moving into rural towns because I've seen it. They're a lot more accepting because it actually in my town they do actually have drag nights at the local club now.
I've seen that advertised.
So
I've seen that advertised. We should go.
yeah,
We should go.
so you do. It is
Do a
like
review on it,
I
can't we?
think now the younger people are starting to move into these rural towns because the old homophobes are all dying off. I think it's changing. It's becoming more accepted, and they're having more exposure to different people.
Yes. Um, so yeah, going back to Mike's story, obviously his friend Graham Clark has spoken out about him. He said that Mike was single all his life, but he was a friend to many people. After he came out, he couldn't believe what a relief it had been to tell people and to finally be himself, which I think is true of all of us, really.
You
When we
you
come out,
imagine going 72 years until you just be yourself. That's awful. That's just
thing is,
horrible the world we live in that you
th-
have to do.
that's the
You
thing.
have to
I
do that.
think it highlights the fear the lot from the LGBTQ plus community face, and people don't realize
But
that.
even when you're that old though, and you're probably living comfortable now. You've got a house. You're not going to be homeless, really. You're not gonna. You've got money. You know what I mean. You're comfortable. So there's but that fear and that stigma that he's probably had ingrained in him from when he was younger because of what the news used to show you and stuff.
But I think
That's probably what it
this
was.
is the thing, isn't it? This is the thing about how the community, people from the community, they do fear this. They fear the being ostracized from society. They fear being excluded by friends and family because they don't know how friends and family are going to take it. And to them, it's a big deal. It's a massive deal, even though they probably know deep down, deep in their hearts, that their friends and family will love them all the same, or even more.
I love that his son is like championing it and taking it on and building it up in his memory. I think that's really special.
Yes. But and I think that like I say, it just highlights that what a lot of us in the community still fear, fear the rejection, fear being ostracized, fear being cut out from the community or from other people, friends and family.
Yeah, because he probably had friends all like for decades, and he probably didn't want to lose them. You know what I mean? He probably worried he might lose his family and wouldn't be able to see grandkids. That kind of thing.
Thing is, it can be something as simple as jokes. So you get people that make these little jokes that are homophobic in their nature, but they say them not realizing,
Yeah.
and then it's like that puts them off of, well, hang on a minute.
So he like meets up with people in a pub,
Mm,
and there's one person that makes like a a homophobic joke,
Yeah,
and then you kind of close up and think, oh,
I,
I'm
I,
not safe to come out around these people.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, out together, set up in 2020, but it's obviously come to the forefront now. So I think it's a great charity. It's now time for a chat. It's in conversation. So this week we are going to be talking about something that's hit the news recently. It is quite a tragic incident for various reasons. And there is a reason why we're going to be talking about this, isn't there, Josh? So we are going to be talking about this week the murder of Ann Widdecombe. Now, some of you listening to this might wonder why we're bringing this up, why we're talking about this. And now, she obviously had some rather archaic views on homosexuality and LGBTQ plus rights. She voted against and stood against equality for the LGBTQ plus community. So quite understandably, there are quite a lot of members of the community that didn't like her, and for good reason, for very good reason. But I think the reason why we want to talk about this, obviously because of her views on the community, but also because of a lot of comments that have been made online, things that have obviously come out about it. And we want to make it clear we're not speculating. We're not going to be speculating about motive or what's happened or anything like that, because it's not appropriate for us to do that. It's not right for us to do that.
We're not Nigel Farage.
Exactly. Exactly. But we do want to sort of make it clear that there's obviously a lot of bit of things that have been said online, a lot of comments that have been said that we wouldn't condone, we don't condone.
Well, we had a similar conversation with the Charlie Kirk thing,
Yeah,
which is pretty much quite similar. It's political again.
yeah. But when we sort of take a stop and think about this, if you take away who she was and what her views were, she's still a human being. She's still someone's mother, grandmother, sister, whatever. And there is a family out there that are grieving.
Did she have kids? I
don't know.
I don't think she had kids.
Did she not?
I don't think
I don't
so.
know. I don't know. But nonetheless, there is a family that are grieving. There will be family members that are grieving.
And friends.
And friends. Even if one of those friends is Farage.
Well,
Old 5 mil Farage. But yeah, so she had some really, really nasty, horrific, archaic views on homosexuality, on the LGBTQ plus community. She voted against everything to do with our rights, and that was wrong. That was absolutely wrong. And you know, we don't support her views. We don't condone her views. We don't agree with her views. But I think we are capable of showing some level of decency that she couldn't. And the reason why we say that is because, given some of the comments out there online, on social media, some really horrific views around, and there's one that's made the news recently as well, isn't there? Where someone took great pleasure in her death and hoped that she suffered a very painful death and was handcuffed to the bed or something like that. And you know, we don't condone those comments. We don't condone those views, regardless of what her views were, because I don't think that makes us any better than her.
yeah, and I think you're entitled to say things within the law, but some things, do you really need to say it? Because the comments you've just mentioned, I saw that and I thought that's very violent. That's a very violent image to imagine. And it's, yes, she was not a nice person for many reasons, but she was still when you don't look at that, she's still like is it 76 or something?
78, I think
She's
she was.
78-year-old old lady.
78?
So there's just a picture. There's a 78-year-old lady. She's in a house on her own, and someone travels there and goes in there and brutally murders her. And I just don't understand how you can hear that and then
I think
say I hope, and then not even knowing that it said she was
I think
serious injuries.
I think just to interject there, I think when those comments were made online was before it had been revealed.
Yeah, it was before it was revealed that she was murdered, but they said she was found with serious injuries.
Mm.
So to hear that already to me sounds quite upsetting to
Mm.
hear that an old lady had suffered serious injuries.
Yeah.
But then to escalate that and say, I hope she was handcuffed to a bed and screamed and in pain. That's very violent. And I I couldn't say things like that
I
personally because
no.
I am a very empathetic person, so I still try to see the person outside of that. Um, but again, like I said, she's still it's the same as like if my neighbor who's elderly, if that happened to them, they're probably homophobic because the
Mm.
old lady because their age. But if I was to find out that happened to them, I would feel really uncomfortable that we live in a society in a world right now where that's happening
And
just because someone has really awful opinions.
and the thing to sort of add to that as well is that I think if if people like us make those kinds of comments on a different political spectrum, if we're capable of making those kinds of comments, and they're the kinds of comments we're often calling out on the other side of the political spectrum, then how does that make us any better than those people that we're condemning or that we're calling out? It doesn't.
But
It really doesn't
I've
make us any
I've
better.
seen the same people that I've seen cheering on those comments are the exact same people who kick off when the far right people dead name people that have been murdered and say they hope they suffered and things, and they're saying that's disgusting, you shouldn't say that. And I'm like, but then you've just cheered this on.
But I think this is
It's the
why
same
I, th-
because you know what I mean?
I think this is why we wanted to talk about this because I've seen some of those really horrible comments, and and I do stress, I'm not a supporter of Ann Widdecombe. I'm not. She's not my favorite person. I'm not her greatest fan, and I condemn any of her views and any of her comments that she made about the LGBTQ plus community wholeheartedly because I'm always a supporter of our community and I will always defend our rights. But what I don't agree with is then making those kind of horrific comments because it doesn't make us any better than those that we condemn or that we call out because we are just showing that we are just as bad, if not worse. And I think that's
Well, I think the far right can be you have the polar opposites. You have the far right and the far left. The far right say horrific things that I've seen, but I've also seen people that I would say are very far left. I've seen them say things that shock me as well, that are quite aggressive and violent.
yeah.
So you can have these negatives on both sides of it. But I just think that people politically, you shouldn't be hoping that people get murdered just because of their political views. Like if something happened to Trump or Farage, like they died naturally for some reason, I wouldn't be bothered. I'd probably make a joke about it because it's natural. But if they were murdered, I wouldn't make a joke about it because I don't think anybody deserves to be brutally murdered.
Mm.
Because I just don't. It's just not in me to wish that on people.
I think it's the thing about having some kind of empathy and respect for a fellow human being, and that's different from being supportive of their views. I
I
think,
think we are in a world now though where with the far right and the far left, they want a perfect political candidate. So you've got all these people jumping from reform to restore because reform weren't being racist enough. So if they do anything that isn't perfect, they jump to the next person. Same with the far left. If you have the most perfect very progressive leftist person, if they do one thing that they don't agree with, they're dead to them. They can never ever support them again. Chuck them in the ground. You want somebody else, and that's the problem. That you're never going to get a perfect political figure. That's not how the world works, and that's
I
the
don't think you're going to
problem.
get anyone perfect in politics.
That's the problem, though. We've reached this level where these two extreme sides want the perfect. Can you put that microphone any closer to my face, Nigel? God, you need to whack me in the teeth. I think we've reached a level now where these two extremes on each side, they want the most perfect candidate, and if they do anything out of their box that they want, they just completely cut them off and jump to the next thing. And I'm like, this is why we're never going to make much progress, because we're expecting the perfectness. The humans aren't perfect.
Mm.
There's going to be even the best politicians that we love now, like the leader of the Greens. I think he's great, but there's probably opinions he has that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say it right. Never supporting him again, because it's, unless it's something that's like genuinely against my morals. Like the Zoran Mondani, he's probably got things that not everybody agrees with, but he's doing amazing work. You know what I mean? So you have to pick your battles at the minute. Unfortunately, that's just the way the world works. You pick your battles, but I don't think people should be executed or murdered or anything just because of their political opinions, because that's a very dangerous world.
The thing is, and I will stress, obviously, we're not speculating on motive or anything like that, and we don't know what the motive is at this stage because they've not actually revealed.
I was going more broadly on like Trump, and
Yeah.
Raj said he's had threats, things, and you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that's the political climate we're living in right now. Anyone that's in politics, if anything happens, it's immediately jumps on. It must be an assassination. It must be an immigrant. It must be a right-wing nutter. You know what I mean? It's like we're constantly looking for the extreme of everything.
Yeah. But I mean, what annoys me is obviously the aspect around speculation around it. You know, we've got people saying that we shouldn't speculate on what's happened, and quite rightly we shouldn't, because you know we live in a democracy where there is a right to fair trial, and you start speculating about things like this and saying, oh, I think it's because of this, I think it's because of that, we need to know this, we need to know that. Like we've got like reform politicians saying we need to know everything about this case. Why do we need to know everything about this case right now? Because
I'm not going to know everything right now.
but the moment they start revealing everything as the investigation goes, you can jeopardize the court trial, and you can jeopardize the case.
Well, they said straight away that it was a white British person.
Yeah.
I think that was because they immediately jump on it being an immigrant and do riots and burn people's houses down. But even when they did that, they were like, well, it wasn't a white British person,
because they don't want to believe it.
And I'm like, you could literally have been there in the room watching it happen, and you'd still say it was an immigrant. You just cannot.
That's how they've been groomed.
They just
to believe that
like an old lady's been murdered, and your first joy is hoping that it was an immigrant that killed her.
Yep.
Like that. Look in the mirror and say that to yourself,
and then you challenge them and say, you're harboring some very racist opinions, and then they're like, I'm not racist.
The thing is, whoever murdered her needs to go to jail. Anyone who it is, that's the thing. When I heard that she'd been murdered, I didn't think in my head, oh God, I bet it was an immigrant, or oh, I bet it was a Green Party member, like they've said, or oh, I bet it was a far right person who weren't happy with reform and wanted to restore or something. That just did not click into my head. It was like, oh my God, I did not expect that. That's horrific.
I must admit, when I heard that she died, I was quite shocked. My instant assumption.
I weren't really, to be honest, I weren't really bothered because she wasn't a very nice person.
I'll admit I wasn't either, but I'm still able to show some level of empathy.
But when I found that next bulletin that came out, that genuinely shocked me. And I was like,
I think it was just how they released the news, wasn't it? That she died, and my instant assumption was, oh, she just died of natural causes.
Had a fall or something.
78 years old. She's probably just died of natural causes.
Had a fall or something. You know.
And then when they turn around and released the information to say that they had launched a murder inquiry,
so that stunned me. I was like,
I was shocked. Admittedly, I was shocked because I thought, Ah, okay. Well, that changes things. But again, like yourself, I didn't immediately go to these assumptions that it was, um, yeah, of who could have done it. I just thought,
It's
right, well,
it's the same when we hear about these awful things like people that get raped. It's like rather than care about the victim and want justice, you immediately go, "Oh, I really hope it's an immigrant. I really hope that she was raped by an immigrant. Not, I really wish she hadn't been. It's like, I really hope she had been
I
by an
think we
immigrant
do.
because then I can use, you know what I mean?
I think we do often forget about the victim in cases like that.
But it's the joy they get
Mm.
out of it being, if it's a white person, they'll
At the end of the
shove it
day,
under the
at the
rug.
end of the day, when you've got a crime that's that horrific, and it is horrific, your first thought should always be with the victim, and any support or anything like that should always be towards the victim. Um, you should never sort of forget the victim and then start thinking, oh, I hope it's this, I hope it's that. Oh, I'm going to get pleasure out of
It's
this
just
if
how
it's this.
excited
It's
they
like,
get.
hang on a minute, we've got a victim here of quite a horrific crime, and you're literally just dismissing that victim completely.
Yeah, because I still, like, as I said, I weren't really bothered when it said she died and that, but I am empathetic, and I think that's something we are losing in society. And my first thought was, I cannot imagine that's like the age of my grandma. And I just thought, my grandma being in the kitchen by herself and someone comes in and kills her,
Mm,
like that makes me feel sick.
yeah.
And that's still someone the same age. So that's where my brain goes. It's like no one should have someone enter their home, their safe place,
That's the
and
thing.
murder them.
That's the thing, isn't it? Our home is the place we should always feel safe.
It's such a violating and just awful way to
It's like
go.
it's like when people get burgled, the feeling of being burgled when that's your safe space and that's where you should feel safe, and then the feeling that an intruder has been in your property when you weren't there, or even sometimes on some occasions when you are there and you're asleep and you just think that you just don't feel safe there anymore. That's not your safe space anymore. You just don't feel safe.
Yeah, I just don't know why we've lost this ability to say they were a horrible person and they had abhorrent views that went against everything I stood for, but I still do not think they should have been murdered.
And I think this is the message we're trying to get across, isn't it? You can be the worst person in the world. You can have some utterly horrific views, and you can be the sort of person that might even cheer on deaths of other people. But the moment that we start to do that ourselves, that those of us that have empathy, those of us that are decent people that try to live life, the moment that we start to have and harbor those views that they deserve to die, this, that, and the other, we are no better than that person that we are cheering on.
Yeah, but I think like if it, as I said, because I'm not going to say I never would, if it was a natural death, like if Trump pops it finally, I'm probably going to do a joke post because it's a natural death. But if it was murder, I would be a lot more cautious because I still would think that it's not in me to do that.
Well, it's like when he had that when there was that shooting and they got his ear. You quite understandably you cannot stand the man, but you quite understandably put a post up saying that no one deserves, regardless of
Well,
political
I
views,
was
no one
more
deserves to be
concerned.
assassinated.
I was more concerned, and not that he was, about his follower behind him that died. No one ever cared about that person.
True,
You know what I mean?
true.
So, you know what I mean? Like that's. I just don't think that assassinations and murders and things for political reasons, if it is that, I just don't think that's not the world we want to be going down
No.
because otherwise you're going to start getting it because we've already had left, like we had a Labour MP
Mm,
that was murdered.
yeah.
I think was it a
It
Conservative as
was
well?
Joe Cox and David Amos.
Was he a
He was
Conservative?
Conservative,
So
wasn't
we've
he?
already had political murders
Mm.
here, and it's been a long time since that's happened. Well, not that long, but years.
Yeah.
We don't want that to happen. This is what it's like in America. They've had a lot of political deaths and things. We
Yeah.
don't want that.
It's not. It's not the answer.
It's not democratic. It's not the way to go.
No.
The way that you get rid of these kind of people is you
voting
vote
against them.
Yeah, you
Vote
vote
them out.
out.
Vote them out.
You vote them out and you call them out and you pressure the media to question them the questions you want. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You don't kill them. That's all you're going to do then is you're going to martyr them.
Yeah.
And now it's just enforces their opinions, and everything they've said, people are just going to believe even more now because of what's happened.
But this is the thing, isn't it? As I say, this is the message we want to get across, that we have empathy, we have respect, and the moment you start to celebrate someone's death in such a way, especially such a brutal death, and in the ways in which some people have done it, i.e. A certain one that has since been arrested and charged for the posts that they put on social media, which were quite horrific, quite nasty things to say. You can disagree with people, but there's disagreeing with people, and then there's just being outright
I will say as well,
nasty.
that I've seen people comparing it to that. What's that woman who reformed trot around? Who wanted to burn everyone to death?
Lucy Connolly.
They've been comparing it to that. I
yeah.
don't think you can compare the two. Like, I think they're both awful comments.
They were both
But one of them is actually inciting death and murder.
One's celebrating
And
it.
one's just celebrating death. So I also don't agree with that.
Yeah. But I think, as I say, that's the message we want to get across, that, the moment we start lowering ourselves to the way that people on the right do, then we are no better than them. Have some decency, have some respect, be a human being, and call out the wrongs. And just because you're not going to mourn someone's death doesn't mean you have to celebrate it either. You can not mourn someone and not celebrate their death at the same time, I think. It's now time for Josh to be a moany old bitch. It's the complaints closet.
Hello.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Right, what are you moaning about this week, you bitch?
My complaint this week, not that I use it very often,
Nah.
I'm going to moan about Instagram.
Oh, that's different.
Specifically, the close friends thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, the gays, they keep adding me to these close friends.
Maybe they think you want to see their peen.
Well, let me get on to that.
Oh.
Not literally.
Is it...
So then, I see a green circle at the top. I'm like, oh, am I going to see something spicy? Click it, and it's like a picture of their breakfast. Why is that in the close friends? Have you experienced this?
No, do you think they're trying to entice you in and
No.
see who's actually watching?
No, it happens all the time. I see a green circle, and it'll have loads of normal posts, and then it'll get to the close friends post. It's a picture of their dog. Why is that in the close friends? Everybody knows the close friends is to show your hole or your pole or whatever else.
Is that what you do?
I think the only people in mine is you and Ash. I've never even. How do you even use it?
I don't know, because I don't actually have my close friends set up on it.
I do have that. It's just you two, but I've never used it. But like, why are you posting in close friends and it's just a picture of food or something? It's meant to be at least something a bit slutty.
Maybe.
And I think we need to have an intervention with these gays.
Maybe these hot dogs that you keep seeing aren't actually hot dogs. Maybe it's peens in hot dog rolls.
But I just don't understand why you have a close friends circle thing, and then all you put it in there is stuff that no one cares about.
Maybe they think close friends do care about that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, but why do close friends need to see your breakfast? Why can't everybody see your breakfast?
It's better to see it before it goes in
Like,
than after.
Let me just put this in my close friends because I can't let the rest of the other people that aren't in my close circle, they can't know that I eat food. You know what I mean? Or they'll do a picture of like their new shoes and they put it in close friends. I'm like, why is it in your close friends? Nobody else can't see this secret that you have some new shoes?
Maybe there's things they don't want family to see, like how much they're spending on shoes or what sort of shoes they're getting.
Well, then block them. I just don't understand why, especially gays, that is basically all they use the circles for, and there's certain ones that just puts nonsense on there that no one cares about, that shouldn't be in a close friend circle. You just wasted my time flicking through 50 different short things because you've got no life and you keep posting all day to get to a green one, and it's a picture of an egg or a trainer or a stone or
Maybe it
something
was a love egg.
stupid. No, it's like a funny shaped stone on a drive or something on a
Butt
beach.
plug.
Maybe that, but that wasn't posted, so that shouldn't be going in your close friends then.
Maybe it was not external at the time.
But this is what I'm just saying. Stop putting boring stuff on your close friends. I feel like close friend stuff should be like things that are a bit naughty or a bit secrety that only selected people get to see, and you feel special that you get to see it.
Maybe just unfollow them.
Yeah, but then what if they do post something that's fun? Then I wouldn't see it.
Pervert.
So we have a close friend actually. I mean, I'm in his close friends. I never asked. You're not, and I've seen his poll. You know who it is. I won't say who it is, but you know who
I
he is.
think I know who you're
Yeah.
talking about. How dare they?
I don't let them know though, just in case they
How
don't know that they
dare
added me.
they? How dare they not?
Just in case they don't know they added me and not you, I'm gonna not say it. So
Well, if I suddenly get added, I'll know they've listened to this and then realise,
yeah.
oh shit, I didn't add him.
But like they put nudes on there. I'm like, "Oh, okay, at least I know what I'm expected to see." And then you go to the next one, and it's a picture of their TV of the film they're watching.
Mm.
And I'm like, why is that in your close friends? It really bothers me. I bet there's other people that have this issue. They go on a green circle thinking it's going to be something a bit slutty or rude or secretive, and then it's something stupid that shouldn't be in there. Anyway, what do you want to moan about?
What do I want to moan
Let me
about?
hand you the mic.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Well, what I want to moan about this week is lorry drivers.
Everybody wants to moan about those.
But there's a particular reason why I want to moan about them, and that is when you're on a dual carriageway. You're on a dual carriageway or a motorway that is just 2 lanes, because there are some motorways that do go down to 2 lanes.
We don't need descriptions of roads.
And then fuck off. And then when they go to overtake, and they overtake on a stretch of the road that's either up a hill, so they can't get the speed up, level, and the lorry they're trying to overtake is going at the same fucking speed as them.
That is the worst when you've got two lorries trying to
And
side to side.
literally they just hold up all the traffic. I mean,
Capped at 60.
the cap a lot of them are capped at like 56 or 62 or something. They are restricted to certain speeds, but it's when they go to overtake and then they just hold up all the traffic and there's just this queue of cars. And it's not just that, but I've noticed it when I've been driving along and I've been doing a steady 70 in lane 2, and you're getting up to the point where you're going to overtake them, but then suddenly they indicate, and I mean suddenly they indicate, and then just pull straight out. And you have to slam the brakes on because you weren't expecting them to move out.
Can we also bring in people with trailers and caravans into the same bubble?
You're talking about something that happened the other day, aren't you?
Because I feel like they forget they're not in a little tiny car.
Well, there was that one that pulled out on me the other day.
Yeah, they forget they're not just a vehicle. They're like the length of 2 or 3 cars. So
Yeah.
when they pull out on you, it takes 3 times as long for them to be out of your way.
Yep. And then and again, because you're not expecting them to pull out, because you can read the road and you can tell it's not clear for them or safe for them to pull out, but they just pull out anyway. And it's not a maneuver that you would have anticipated just because they've just suddenly decided to pull out.
And they have to do a wide turn because they've got a bloody trailer or
Yep.
something on the back.
Yeah, but it's the whole thing of when you've got these lorries that are overtaking and they can't get the speed up, they can't move as fast, and they're literally just holding up and slowing everyone down. Now,
Imagine if they just had lorry-only lanes.
see, I think on dual carriageways or motorways where it goes down to just 2 lanes, I think they should say, right, lorries can't overtake. They just have to stay in that lane unless exceptional circumstances.
Yeah, unless like there's a lorry in front and it's going really slow, or there's a
Or congested
broken down.
congested traffic, for example.
Yeah.
But it just really frustrates. I don't know, and they all seem to do it. Sorry if anyone listening is a lorry driver, but they all seem. I don't know whether there's a reason why they do it. I mean,
Well, I guess it's
I know that lorry drivers
it's got
are.
time constraints as
Yeah,
well.
I know that lorry drivers have time constraints. I know that they have a tachograph in
They have
the
to
cab
rest and things.
that where they have to show that they're doing certain things and stuff like that, and that's all monitored and measured and everything. I get that, but it's almost like when it's almost like they do it. They see an opportunity for a car that's actually doing the speed limit to just pull out.
Maybe do a bit of teamwork of the other lorries. So if you're side by side with another lorry,
Just
why does it? Why
ease
does the lorry
off.
on the left just slow down to like 2 mile an hour or something, just so it's a bit quicker than you, and then you can go in front and move.
But again, this is probably because of their time constraints, isn't it? If they ease off and slow down a little bit, that's time they've got to make up, isn't it? I suppose. Even though it's a
So
few seconds, even though it's going to be what, 30 seconds a minute or something, it's still going to be something that's going to affect them. But there probably is a very good reason. Maybe someone listening might be able to answer this, but I just don't understand why they all they all seem to do it. They all seem to do it, and just I mean, I've been driving along a dual carriageway before, stuck behind these two lorries for a good 6, 7 miles because the lorry cannot overtake, and they're just side by side, and it's like.
but the thing is, if they're capped at a certain speed and they know they're going behind another lorry and they're already going at that speed, they know they can't go quicker.
Mm.
So they're not going to be able to get around it
I've
because
even
they know.
I've even seen the lorry that's pulled out to go for the overtake, started getting alongside the lorry, but then the other lorry in lane one has picked up speed and is at the maximum speed, and then the lorry in lane two has then just decided, I'm going to just pull back in behind him.
Yeah, when there's a
And
car
it's like,
out or
and it's
something.
like,
Yeah.
why are you doing that? I just don't get it. It just annoys me. It just
I
frustrates
feel
me.
like if we did, not that we could because the infrastructure's not there, but if we just had like a lorry only lane,
Mm. Like a crawler lane.
yeah, like lorries just go there because you're all going the same speed anyway,
Yep.
really, because you're capped. So you know what I mean? I feel like that would be easier.
Yeah, like buses have bus lanes. Lorry
Yeah.
lane.
Although we'd never be able to, the government can't even fix holes in the road. They're not going to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, a lorry only lane. I think that would be the best thing. And that is all we've got time for this week. I've enjoyed bringing this show to you. Have you, Josh?
Yes, but I'm bloody hot.
I'm not surprised. It is still hot. But yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope that you've enjoyed the show. Um, until next time, we will be back in a couple of weeks. So until then, stay safe and be happy.